Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. I'm Lukeness Monster, and this is Summer in Space. This may all be happening right now. As always, I'm joined with my podcast co-host, Sidequester.
Hello, everyone.
And today we're going to be talking about some interesting rumors kind of floating around the ether that Hasbro might not renew the Black Series and Vintage Collection license, just their Star Wars license in general, moving into the future. I'm not sure the exact year this will expire. I think we might have some info on that, but we wanted to do kind of like a deep dive into some of these rumors, as well as kind of our thoughts if this were to happen. But I do want to say that this is all just rumors. Nothing is obviously confirmed, and we just wanted to put that out there because really this is just word of mouth at the moment, and don't take anything for truth.
Yeah, we're just talking for fun here, just because it is something that has been brought up on the internet in the past couple weeks. So thought it would be nice to have a discussion with Lukeness about it because it could mean changes moving forward. So what happened was a couple weeks ago, a YouTuber named Overlord DVD reported that Hasbro might be trying to get out of their contract. He does a lot of kind of insider leaked information videos, lots of rumors. He does have sources from different levels of vetting. He says that this is coming from a viable source, but he always has a blanket that he doesn't know anything for sure. There's no official release, but the rumors are that Hasbro is dissatisfied with the last few years of products. Underperforming media has led to the toys not selling, and Disney has strict mandates on what they allow to be made, when it's made, and even including like what time frame certain waves of figures come out. And I mean, we've kind of known that they have their list. They tell Hasbro what they can make and when. But on top of that, there's another content creator named Spectre Creative. He put out a video on YouTube. Scott Knightlick has a background in the toy industry, and he actually worked at Jakks Pacific in the 2010s on the Big Figs line. That actually he did some of the Star Wars figures for the sequel movies and Rogue One and that kind of thing. So he sort of broke down where Disney stands on things. And even before I get into his details, there was a comment on one of your videos randomly, somebody saying that they heard rumblings that Hasbro might be trying to just finish out their contract in the next year or so, and then that might be it. So hang on, let me gather my thoughts here for a second. So it's been reported in the last year that Star Wars sales have been down for Hasbro 68%. 68%.
Wow, that 68% is a lot. I mean, I can't say I'm surprised though. I mean, I think we're kind of on the downhill of the end of like the COVID collectors, so I think that's a big hit. But also with the underperformance of Skeleton Crew, not Skeleton Crew. Skeleton Crew is going to perform great because it's going to be really good.
What do you know, Luke? What do you know?
I know everything. Of the Acolyte, obviously that underperformed a little bit, and so I'm sure the figures didn't sell well. It's just kind of the underperformance of Mando Season 3, and so some of those figures not selling great as well. We'll see. I know some of them are just now starting to hit, but as far as like Star Wars figures underperforming, I can't say that I'm surprised.
Well, and that's the thing that's really interesting, is that in previous years, it's just been the new media stuff. The Disney era Star Wars content has led to characters that people aren't as concerned about or interested in, but the legacy characters from pre-Disney Lucasfilm always sold well. They're included in this 68%. So Luke, Leia, Han, Boba Fett, clones, Vader, none of it's selling. And if you think about it, I mean, I walked into my Walmart the other day. There were still 3 or 4 of the A-list Vaders hanging on the pegs.
Mhm.
They're they're not selling. A couple years
And
ago, those would be gone.
and I also think it has to do with several factors. For one, is like the amount things are produced, because A lists are pretty mainline. They show up at anywhere that sells figures, your Walmarts, Targets, GameStops, pretty much everywhere. And I understand they're not selling as well, but I feel like they're also way, way overproduced. Because if I go into my Walmart or my Target, there is dozens and dozens of Vaders and Mandos. Not that they're not selling; it's just that they're overstocking them. Which I don't think overstocking is a bad thing, but it's just one of those. As far as those two figures go, that Mando is not as good as the Book of Boba Fett Mando because it has a hard plastic cape. So if anybody does their research, they're not going to pick up that one. And that Vader is just a re-release, so it's great for people that don't have a New Hope Vader, but it's nothing special, and it's got, the pinned legs and the flaws that original Vader had. So they're not great figures, and it doesn't surprise me that they're sitting.
So the other aspect to this, and this is where Spectre Creative comes in, because he has the background of working with Disney directly. He actually references in his video that he spoke with the person that originally negotiated the contract between Kenner and Lucasfilm
Oh
back
wow.
in 1976-77. So the guy did this contract. And he said that the way it was structured was Lucasfilm would receive a 1% royalty on every product that Kenner created or produced
Mm-hmm.
in perpetuity. So that means that as long as Kenner kept making toys, the contract would be valid and they would get 1%.
Mm-hmm.
But they stopped making figures in 1985. So the
Yeah.
contract ended. So in the 90s, when they went to renegotiate, Hasbro had bought Kenner at this point, and Lucasfilm was like, 10%. We want 10%.
Yeah.
Now, according to Scott Knightlick's video, uh, he said that Disney, Star Wars, Disney Lucasfilm, their royalty is 22 to 23%.
Again, that doesn't surprise me, just because when you think of Disney, they make princess movies and fairy tale movies to sell products to little girls.
Mhm.
And same thing, that's why they went out and they bought Marvel and they bought Star Wars, is to market towards to boys, younger children, boys.
Mhm.
And so obviously that's why they're including all the little, like, you got to have your BD1 and your Lola droid and your little like animal droid sidekick with every single character, because they're
And the
marketing
app
it
to
toward.
make it move.
Yeah, and I mean, because they're marketing it towards kids, and
Mhm.
obviously the whole point of them making the movies and the TV shows, it's to sell toys and to sell products, and so it makes sense that they're gonna take all of those royalties that Lucasfilm didn't want to before, because obviously Lucasfilm was more in it for making the movies and making a good story, and Disney's primary objective is to sell merchandise and make a profit on it, which it's business and makes sense, but I can see how Hasbro would be very upset with a 22 to 23% royalty.
Right. Yeah. And so I broke it down, just kind of total approximate rough numbers. So if a figure costs $25 on the peg at Target, the rule of halves in business is kind of just a general idea that whatever something retails for, it costs them half that
Mm-hmm.
much to get it to the pegs, which means it costs half of that to produce it, and on and on and on. So based on my just crazy general breakdown, and you know how terrible I am at math, but um, it looks like Disney probably makes around $1.43 per Black Series figure that is sold. And then when the figures don't sell, from my understanding, Disney still gets their cut.
And so Hasbro has to pay up just money out of their own pocket.
Hasbro has to take on the brunt of all of the manufacturing costs. They get a budget, I think, is how it works. They get a budget per item, especially when it's a new IP, and that's why you see brand new molds and all this stuff when Acolyte comes out or Skeleton Crew comes out, because they want it to be
Because Disney's
successful.
funding it.
Right,
Yeah.
exactly. Yeah, I think that Hasbro spending all the money on these brand new molds, it could go either way. I don't. I would like to think that it's because they've already started to work through what they're going to do, and we're going to get a continuation so that we can get every single Clone Trooper variant and every repaint of Boba Fett and all the different versions of Vader that we all want.
Yeah.
The second scenario is maybe Hasbro is dragging their feet a little bit because they're hoping to negotiate down that royalty, and or possibly getting a little bit more control of what they release. They know that even from the Hasbro incarnation, the contract, or they started releasing toys in 1995. They have been releasing toys through the end of this contract. It will be 30 full years that
Yeah.
they've been releasing Star Wars toys on a consistent basis. That's not including the money that they made before as Kenner. They know what they're doing. They know what figures sell. They've got all this market research, and they tap resources like you doing your March Madness and channels like Out of the Basement and Black Series Cantina. They get the information out there from what the collectors want, so they know what they should be making, and maybe Disney will give them a little more latitude.
Yeah. And I do want to say that I talked to Eric, and we do have official confirmation that they used the Luke Ness March Madness bracket to judge community interest in figures, which is super cool. And yeah, that's a big win for the Luke Ness Monster channel. So yeah, you guys really do have a say in what figures get made. If you want something made, talk about it, leave it in the comments, vote on Luke Ness Monster polls and stuff like that, because they are watching and they take notice.
That's what I was going to say. It's very important. You can be a part of the conversation by just commenting down below. Comment on all of Luke Ness's videos, because they do watch. They do pay attention, and it could be the difference from getting a fives or not getting a fives. So,
or getting a Savage Opress.
Ooh, or getting a Kyle Katarn.
Maybe we'll have to see.
Getting a Dark Empire Luke. So what are your thoughts on that as a possibility, that maybe Hasbro is trying to rework the situation that they have with Disney so that they can have more control moving forward?
Yeah, I think that's, again, definitely the case. I think it's one of those, from a Disney standpoint, nobody wants to create more work for themselves than they have to, at least when it comes to corporate America. They're trying, people who work in corporate America, they want to create as little work for themselves as possible. And so, having to find a new toy manufacturer means a whole lot more work for themselves. And so, as well as a change in lifestyle for their work, as well as the work that they do. It's just a whole lot, and a lot of people who work don't want to change and go through all of that. And so I'm sure from a Disney standpoint, they're going to do everything they can to keep Hasbro on. And so I think Hasbro is definitely dragging their feet, because they know that they're going to try to get as much from Disney without actually giving up the license. And, I don't think Hasbro by any means wants to give up the license, but they know that if they have to, and if it's not profitable, they can, because they have their own IPs like G.I. Joe and Transformers that, they make their own movies, they make their own figures, they own the IP, and they make plenty of money from it. And of course, they own, every board game known to man, like Monopoly. So trust me, Hasbro's not going anywhere if they lose the Star Wars license, and I think Disney knows that.
The last scenario that I see here is kind of what Overlord DVD was getting into, and what Spectre Creative was suggesting as a possibility. Maybe Hasbro is just over it. Maybe they're tired of the losses. Maybe they have not seen the revenue that they had been getting up till about 5-7 years ago on Star Wars product, and maybe in their minds it's stale in their portfolio and they want to dump it. If that happens, um, that means a new company would take over.
Mm-hmm.
So if that were a possibility, now we get into the crazy speculation. Who should take the license? Not saying that we want it to happen. I absolutely want Hasbro to keep doing Black Series figures until I get my Dark Empire Luke, and then after that they can be done. But if somebody were to take it over, who do you think should take it over?
Well, I want to start by saying I absolutely don't think Hasbro should lose a license because I think the quality of the sculpt, the advancements in articulation, as well as the portraits and the packaging, as well as the price, everything that goes into a Hasbro Black Series figure, it's really good, and a lot of people take it for granted. And I 100% believe the best company out there to make Star Wars figures is Hasbro, and I don't think any company could do it as good. And as far as other companies go, I literally have no idea. I think there's NECA, there's McFarlane, there's Jazzwares. Is there any other?
Well, those are the ones on my list, or a couple of them on my list. But um, maybe we should approach it like this. We obviously will always put Hasbro at the top of our list of companies to make Star Wars figures, especially the Black Series, because, like you said, they've gotten it dialed. In the last probably 2 or 3 years, they've really gotten it dialed. As soon as they went with the pinless legs, they stopped doing the crazy half torso joint that never worked
Mm-hmm.
anyway, and they started doing just where the figure almost looks seamless as much as possible, and
Mm-hmm.
started using a lot more soft goods. They've been killing it. It's been awesome. Who would be second? Like, do you think McFarlane Toys could do anywhere near the job?
Well, all three that I listed there, McFarlane, Jazzwares, and NECA, all three of those are 7-inch figure lines, not 6-inch figure lines. And it's one of those, if like I'm gonna keep collecting Star Wars figures, I can't switch scales. Like it's one of those, if whatever company, if it were, God forbid, to go to another company, I probably wouldn't keep collecting if it switches figure lines because they're not compatible. I'm either going to have to get rid of this display, get a whole different display. It's just a lot more money that goes into it on my side with my collection. Do I get new shelves? There's so much that goes into it. And it's just like, if they do 6-inch scales, I think it's a lot more feasible that they're going to integrate with the figures we already have. But man, if they do a 7-inch figure line, I think that's where Star Wars figures start to die. Or it goes straight to imports where only your SHF and your Mayfex figures are the ones that survive, just because they're in the 6-inch scale that everybody has already built their collection around.
Well, I will say, though, with McFarlane specifically, he has traditionally done 7-inch figures, but he has adjusted his scale. About 10 years ago, he had Halo. He had the license to Halo. Those were
Mm-hmm.
5-inch figures. Same with The Walking Dead. There was a whole span of probably 5-6 years where all the products that he came out with for action figures were 5-inch figures. So I could see him trying to differentiate from the DC stuff that he does from being 7-inch. Maybe he does a 6-inch scale line that, in for lack of a better understanding, just continues on the Black Series.
Yeah. I think as far as McFarlane goes, I think that they're going to be a little bit cheaper figures. They're going to be around the 1999 price point. But they're probably going to be a little bit less quality, at least compared to what we're getting now with the Black Series. And so you can take that into factor. I think if you're going with NECA, they're going to be in the $30 to $35 price point, but they're going to come with a whole lot more accessories and stuff like that, which I know a lot of people care about. And then I think Jazzware would be kind of the even middle, where it's going to be around that $25 price point, and it's going to come with decent accessories, and it's going to be the middle quality between the three. And so I think that just really depends, what are you willing to pay, quality versus price? Are you looking for the cheaper figure that's less quality? Or are you looking for the more expensive figure that comes with more accessories?
So there are some other companies, Spin Master, Jada Toys, but I want to throw a wild card at you. Not really a wild card because it's kind of the one we haven't talked about, but it makes the most sense. What about Mattel?
I could not tell you what Mattel makes at the moment. So Barbies,
So
I don't know.
Barbies and Hot Wheels, and they own Matchbox.
They don't make 6-inch. They don't make 6-inch figures, right? They only make the 12-inch Barbies, right? Or am I
They
wrong?
currently they have a couple of different lines of Masters of the Universe figures,
Oh, okay.
which they've got the kind of retro looking 5.5 inch. They do have a 7-inch line of Masterverse figures that it's pretty much them just doing the same characters over and over between the two lines. They also do the Jurassic toys.
Okay.
Uh, so they have ramped up their sculpting game, especially with like the Hammond collection. The detail on the dinosaurs are pretty great.
Oh yeah, and
But
even some of the I've seen some of the Hammond collection figures. They have 3 3/4 inch,
mhm.
which is already a good scale. Do they have a 6-inch, or is it like 5-inch?
They did a 6-inch line of Jurassic figures probably 3-4 years ago called the Amber Collection.
Okay.
They were aimed more for mainstream retail than collectors, so the likenesses weren't always the best. The detailing wasn't always the best, but they tried. They threw their hat in the ring and did all right for a year or two. But they make the WWE figures,
Oh,
and
okay.
they were one of the first companies to actually integrate face printing technology. And that's why I'm wondering if, worst case scenario, we ended up in a situation where the license migrated. If Mattel might be the way to go. The WWE figures are super articulated. They come with a ton of accessories. I mean, that wrestling isn't
Mhm.
my thing, but when I see them in the stores, they do like full on cloth outfits that fit over the figures, and they don't look bunched up or weird. They actually fit, and
Mhm.
they have um, uh, Velcro or what do they call it? Hook and latch
Yeah.
type of material that it doesn't bunch up. It's super snug and it looks like a little character wearing clothes. So they could pull it off.
Honestly, after saying that, I do think Mattel would be one of the better options because they already have experience in 3 3/4 inch and 6-inch scales. And as far as like likeness goes, they've already been doing it with WWE figures. And so I think they would be able to pull off some of those likenesses pretty well. Now, are they going to be on Hasbro's quality scale? We'll have to wait and see. Actually, I hope we don't have to wait and see. But I don't know. I think Mattel would be a good choice. But like I said, I think Hasbro is going to be the best option by far. So hopefully they resign.
So here's my thought. Here, like this is crazy prediction for the future. Hasbro ditches the license. Mattel picks it up. They do Star Wars for a couple of years. Hasbro and Mattel merge, and then Hasbro gets the license back in like 2030.
I I mean, both Hasbro and Mattel are huge companies. Why would they ever merge?
They've talked about it several times.
Really?
Yeah, over the last probably 10, 15 years, I think
Hmm.
there's been 2 or 3 times where they've almost done it. And then, they just something
I think
something
I think my
didn't.
concern is if they did do that, they're going to have the U.S. government knocking on their door and being like, "That looks like a monopoly,"
They
and they're
gave
like,
up on that a
and
long time ago.
and
They don't
and they're
care.
like, actually, we sell Monopoly, but
They're
I
like,
don't
oh,
know.
look down at their clipboard. Oh yeah, sorry, that's our bad. You go about your business.
So I don't know. We'll see. Like I said, I hope Hasbro keeps a license and that doesn't end up being the case. But
And I think as far as the royalty goes, if the sales pick back up, everyone's making money and everyone's going to be happy. The only change that I think should happen is Disney should just let Hasbro do their thing. They
mm-hmm.
maybe the agreement is if there's new media, they have to come out with whatever Skeleton Crew figures. Boom. Those
Mm-hmm.
have to be out. They have to come out October 15th or whatever, November 1st, whatever it is. Make that deadline. We want that wave. The 2 waves you do before it, have it be all Lukes. Have it be every version of a Vader. Have it be
Mm-hmm.
waves based on whichever movie you want to do. Empire wave, brand new Luke Bespin, brand new Lando, even brand new Bespin Han and Bespin Leia, break apart C-3PO. They should be able to just do whatever they want because, especially with themed waves, those sell. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
if you walked into a store and you saw the Grand Admiral Thrawn and the new Ahsoka, they're both from the same show. Oh, sure, I'm picking both of those up.
Yeah.
Versus, you get one figure from Attack of the Clones and then 3 figures from Acolyte. And
Mm-hmm.
one figure from Revenge of the Sith. I think they know how to group figures together, and it's all about just get the popular things out, sell it, so they make money, and the line continues.
Yeah. No, I agree. I am. It's definitely an interesting conversation, and I'm glad we were able to have it here on the channel. So I'd love to know what you guys think down in the comments below. Do you think that Hasbro's going anywhere when it comes to the Black Series, or do you think that it's here to stay for a long time, another 30 years maybe? We'll have to wait and see, but let me know down in the comments below. But yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. If you did enjoy, hit that like button, subscribe. Consider going and checking out some of our other Somewhere in Space episodes because we've got like 16 or 17 of them out there now. So make sure to go check them out, and we'll see you guys in the next one.
Bye-bye.
Bye.